If you're in need of more stopping power for your TJ Wrangler, then this rear disc brake conversion kit is a great way to get it. This kit gives you all the things you need to do a complete conversion on your Jeep and makes the job about as easy as it can possibly get. Now, a quick note on fitment here before we dive in. This kit is designed specifically to fit 1997 through 2006 TJ Wranglers that are equipped with the factory Dana 35 rear axle. And this kit is also not compatible with models that have ABS. Now, if you're unsure which rear axle your TJ has, just check out our website. We've got a handy guide on there for you that'll point it right out for you. Brakes are not a thing you want to take lightly, whether you're hitting serious trails or just cruising around town. And while old school drum brakes have their place, they just can't match discs for pure stopping power. Now, this kit is going to give you everything you need to convert your TJ's rear drum brakes over to discs. You get a set of OE spec rotors along with the matching pads and calipers to get you slowed down much faster and much better than your originals ever could. This will be extremely helpful if you happen to have larger wheels and tires on your Jeep as well, or if you're loaded up with off-roading equipment. But the best part is that you also get all the stuff to get those pads, rotors, and calipers mounted up properly. The kit comes with all the appropriate backing plates, brackets, and even brake lines. But you also get new parking brake units and the cables to maintain OEM functionality. You got new shoes and everything in there. It's all designed to bolt right into place, making the conversion about as easy as it gets. And again, this is going to function just like an OE setup would. You've got the adjuster right here for your park brake, you've got new shoes and all the other accoutrements that you need to get this mounted up. The rotors are made from cast iron, just like you would have gotten from the factory. Only difference here is you've got this nice crosshatch pattern for a faster break-in, and the hats of the rotors are painted, so they're not going to rust and look all nasty after even just a minute. The pads are also made similar to OE specs, so these are a semi-metallic compound, just like what might have come on your Jeep from the factory if you'd had the rear discs. Plus, you get all new semi-metallic parking brake shoes, the cables, and the steel backing plates already set up and ready to go, and new soft brake lines too to attach to those brand new calipers, which also happen to have all brand new seals, and they're painted this nice silver too, so these again will look nice for a long time and they'll stave off some corrosion. So the moral of the story here is that everything is made to look, feel, and perform like your factory original parts, but just a little bit better. Pricing comes in at about $825, and frankly, for all the parts that you're getting in this kit, it is well worth it. Buying this will end up saving you some money as compared to buying all the components separately. And this is also the most affordable kit of its kind on the market, so really this is the value play. And for something that's going to get you enhanced stopping power and make your TJ inherently more drivable, that is a great thing. Installation is going to get the full 3 out of 3 on our difficulty meter, and you can expect the job to take you around 5 hours to complete. Now, there is quite a lot to do here, but it is all designed to bolt into place without the need for cutting or other modifications to your Jeep. You are, of course, going to have to do a brake bleed since you're taking off the lines and replacing them with these new ones, so just keep that in mind when you're doing this. But with that said, we're going to hand things over to one of our XT customers now, and they will walk you through the process step by step.
Now, these are the tools that I used. 9/16, deep well, extension, grease drive, drum brake spanner adjuster tool, 12 mil, that's for the caliper bolts, flat tip screwdrivers, 1/2-inch drive, various pliers, a few hammers, and this is one of the kits from Harbor Freight, with the exception of the ratcheting 13 mil, the ratcheting 12 mil, just because I'm lazy. The hammers don't come in the kit, neither do the torque wrenches. A couple of these pliers, I have a pair of flush cuts. That's what those are. They're side angle cutters, but they're for zip ties. They cut the zip tie flush. 3/8 tubing wrench. They're pan out here. They're like locking, they're kind of like a needle nose pliers. When I have an extra body, I'll do the brake bleed. That's that for now. All right, our next step is to remove the e-brake cable from the front bracket. That's what this is. This is a front bracket. And that's just ratcheting 13 millimeter, just because this is such a long threaded shaft. And you'll probably need a set of pliers to hold on to the shaft as it spins. So I did not grab that, so I'm going to grab that now. Once that's off, you'll have to get this clip out. And I'll show you a quick, easy way to do that with the box end wrench, but the first thing to do is unloosen this so I can take the end of the e-brake cables out. that's the bracket off. You kind of have to tilt the bracket kind of upwards a little bit, like that, to get the cables to come out. Now the trick for these other ones, take that same 13 mil you were just using and you slide it over the clips. Sometimes it's easier said than done. And that should allow you to start pulling the e-brake out. All right, and there we go, they're both out. Sometimes it takes two hands to do this, but the idea is you have these little fingers that hold it into the bracket hole. You need to get all these compressed at the same time. It's easier to do that with 13 mil wrench, and then with one hand pushing the wrench on, the other hand pulling, you can get that thing off pretty easily. And the next part to this is going to be removing the link arm bracket. You're doing this because this whole thing comes with a whole different style e-brake. You have one of these on each upper link. This is just a retainer bracket. Should be pretty easy, and this is again a 13 mil, but on a ratchet wrench socket with a ratchet wrench. There we go. One last thing to point out, this line here for me is an ARB air locker line, so you want to be careful pulling the e-brake cable out. You don't want to pop out that fitting or ruin that fitting when you're doing that. Just be cautious if you have one of these or electric locker. Now the following step referred to removing the wheel, which I've already done. And your next thing is going to be removing your drum. If this is too hard to get off, there's a small rubber plug behind here you'd have to remove, and there's a small adjuster that allows you to loosen the shoes. I also want you to remove the line for wheel cylinder. That's going to require a tubing wrench. That's what this is, a tubing wrench. This is a 3/8 tubing wrench. This will allow you to get the tube off. Always make sure you have a drip pan underneath your stuff, just because brake fluid is corrosive. Once I've loosened it, it should come off pretty easy. You will lose fluid, that's why I have this drip pan underneath here. And this tubing wrench does not come in that Harbor Freight kit, so you'll have to have one of these on your own for yourself. You are going to lose a lot of brake fluid doing this job. You'll have to bleed your brakes when you're done. Drum off, and then your brake line disconnected. Brake line is disconnected. There we go. Again. All right, our next step is to remove this axle. This axle is slightly different than the Dana 30 that this kit's designed for. This is a Dana 44, and it has retaining bearing flange, bearing retainer. Takes a 1/2 inch socket, kind of go through into this hole, and then there's 4 bolts in the back here. You don't have to worry about opposing force, but you need to take these 4 nuts off the bolts. Sometimes they'll drop in your pan like that. I already took 2 out. You just have to rotate the axle, line up the hole to the nut that you're taking off. All right, so once you get the axle retaining bolts out, then it's just pulling the axle shaft out, and your whole bracket's going to want to come off all at the same time. So you're going to lose gear oil in the process. So like I said before with the brake fluid, have gear oil on hand as well as brake fluid. You have to bleed the brakes, and you're going to have to add gear oil to your differential. Be careful taking this out, because there is a seal. Once that comes out, now your calipers are going to be your brake backing clink this fall. Okay, this is the seal right here that you're got to be careful of. It's attached to the actual axle itself. Make sure it's in good shape. Make sure your bearing's in good shape. And then put that aside. You'll have to do the same thing on the other side. Brake line that you had to take off earlier with a 3/8 tube wrench. And then you can see this is the reason why you have to take the e-brake cable off first step, or excuse me, second step. because it's attached to the drum and you're going to be replacing it anyways. Next step is to install the retaining bolts or retaining studs for the backing plate. They look like this. I've got a flat spot on one side that goes against the axle. You go right into the holes right here. I suggest giving them a little bit of a tap, seat it all the way through the paint. Once you have that done, you'll be able to put the backing plate on. They send the backing plate stuck together with these retaining bolts and nuts. You got to take these off and discard those. Once those are off, you should be able to just slide that right onto these studs. Maybe a little bit of a fight. There we go. Once that's on, you can grab your axle shaft. You can see the flange has kind of got like a only one way it can go on deal. It's got a pattern to it. So once, there we go. Let me get that worked on and I'll show you the end result. Now, you're going to make sure your brake rotor actually will slide over the brake shoes. Like that. You want to make sure that is. Okay, a little trick on getting these into this really tight section. Another tool that's not in that kit that I'm using is these. They're like locking, I don't know, like they're kind of like a needle nose pliers. But the nice thing about them is they'll hold on to the nut real easy, and then you can just kind of stick it in there and thread it on the stud. Just because you can't get your fingers back there. All right, so once you get them started, then it's no big deal to just grab 9/16, different size now, and tighten these up. Like anything, you want to do kind of a crisscross pattern when you're doing this, so that way your seal doesn't get too crooked. It's torqued down, and then I'll get back to you guys on the other side once I have everything buttoned up. Okay, once you have your disc brake rotor on, you should pop this little plug out, grab a tool like this one. This is a flat tip screwdriver. This allows you to adjust the little adjuster in there, adjusts the emergency brake drum. Let's see here. Then you can put your plug back in. Got the lug nut on, hold the rotor in place. There, pop. All right. Okay, and once you get to this point, it's time to put in your brake pads. First brake pad is this one here. This slides into clips into the piston, like so, and it just clicks in like that. And you want this little tang to be on the top, so that way it's going away from your brakes. The next thing that goes on is going to be the outside. The whole idea is there's a little hole here. There's a little tab. You have to get past this tab. This spring can be pretty difficult to get in. Once you have that on, I'm going to kind of push these little guide pins out a little bit so you can get your piston or your caliper on the brake bracket. This may be challenging as well. Okay, once you get your caliper on, that's the most difficult part. Is you have these 12 mils. You got to get your 9/16 for your hose. Then you got to hook up your hose to your old hard line. The hard line part's the largest pain in the butt, because that's all the way up against the backing plate. So you have to space it out some. I have this length. This is a Rock Jock sway bar. I had to bend my bracket significantly to be able to get the caliper to fit. If you don't have this, then you don't have to worry about this. This is just unique to this Jeep, and it's just a sway bar. So a little bit tight. Clean this up the best you can when you get this in there. The hose isn't very long. I may replace this hose with something different in the future. Maybe something that's steel braided. But this is what came in the kit. So caliper on. You hear that drag, that's the e-brake's about right. Get your line plumbed, and then that'll allow you to bleed the brakes. This is a 3/8, and then this was a 5/8 to hold that in place. Not the greatest, just make sure you don't kink any of these lines. Make sure the bends are nice and like curved, no kinks, and then out of the way of damage. So I'm probably gonna have to zip tie this around or something to keep this from moving. You want some movement in your flex line because this floats, right? So this slides a little bit. There's already grease in here. It comes back with grease, so you don't have to do that. But this moves, so there has to be flexibility here. So don't make this too tight when you do this. All right, so where we left off here. Once you have your brakes all buttoned up and your hose lines on, e-brake cable ran, I'll show you that a little bit more later. It's time to bleed your brakes. So if you're by yourself, that's kind of a difficult thing to do. Usually you'd have somebody in your car pumping the brakes, or you crack the bleeder. It works off of compressed air. And then you have this bottle on top of your reservoir, and make sure you don't run out of fluid while you're bleeding. Works pretty easy. It's a little loud. What the premise is, you crack your valve open, your little bleeder valve open, pull the trigger. When it's got the catch thing in it, it's going down. It's a really good way to flex the brakes too. Not perfect. Eventually I'll have to do a two-person brake bleed on this, but if you're wondering why I say this is really good for ABS, let's see if I can get this on camera. Right there. You can see this. That's a proportioning valve. On the ABS, there's a little solenoid in there. And if you lose brake fluid going to your rear brakes, the solenoid trips and puts all the brake pressure to the front caliper. So if you have ABS and you try to bleed your brakes with just a pump and two-person job, you won't get fluid back to the back of your brake. You'll have to cycle the ignition on and off each time you pump your brakes. But if you do this with this machine first, this thing cost me like $15 at Harbor Freight. If you do this, you'll at least get enough brake fluid back there to where that solenoid won't activate. So just keep in mind that's the difference between ABS. This is a non-ABS truck. You see there's no, or Jeep, see there's no ABS module here. But yeah, also make sure to check for leaks. So I had a crush sleeve that leaked a little bit of fluid out right there. I had to tighten it up a little bit. That 9/16 bolt right there, pointing straight at the sway bar bit bracket. So yeah. Okay, well the last things you're going to deal with is the brake cables. So for your emergency brake, it's your e-brake cable. You have these brackets that bolt to your upper control arms. One right there. The cable goes back. You see a little Nerf thing that goes on top of that, and then they connect here in the center. Now, like I was saying, when I put the drum brakes on, you got to make sure the rotor's on. You got to make sure the e-brake's got some drag on the hat inside that rotor. And then this is where you're going to do your final adjustment, is right there on that 13 mils nut right here. And you're going to need an opposing wrench to hold on to this bracket here, because that's going to want to spin. Right now I just got it adjusted to where I have like a taunt on the cable. But what you're supposed to do is, on a grade, set your e-brake and then kind of check to see if it holds, and then if it doesn't hold, then you come in here and you tighten it up, and then unset your e-brake, tighten it up some more, and so forth. So that's basically the last step of this whole process, is setting that e-brake cable so the e-brakes hold. You stop bleeding your brakes when you have a solid pedal, and then when you get a chance to have a second person with you, you can do the two-person pump bleed, just to make sure everything's working in the back. I don't have that person with me today. I'm by myself, so I'm just gonna park the Jeep and wait until I have that ability. It should drive around the neighborhood just fine, or you could even drive it down to Midas and have them finish up the brake bleed if you had to. That system should get you at least on the road to where you can do some around the town driving. I wouldn't hit the freeway with it until you're 100% certain. I have a real solid brake pedal right now, so it's fine. But I have to do this e-brake cable just to make sure. And I'm on a driveway that's got a pretty good slope to it. So I'm gonna start by setting the e-brake and seeing if I can spin the rotors with the e-brake set. If I can't, then I'm gonna put the tires on and then try it again. But I'm gonna leave the e-brake set when I put the tires on, because the e-brake should allow me to torque my lug nuts when it's on the jack stand. If it doesn't, then I know it's not tight enough. So that's one of the ways I'm gonna do it. But I'm gonna do that and then get back to this.
That's going to wrap it up here for our review and install the Dana 35 rear axle disc brake conversion kit with parking brake cables fitting 1997 to 2006 TJ Wranglers that are not equipped with ABS. Thanks so much for watching, and for everything Jeep, keep it right here at ExtremeTerrain.com.